Today, Matt Walsh Show, it's clear that Republicans in Congress have accomplished almost nothing, a year in power and very little to show for it. But why? Why can't or won't the people we elect ever do anything with the power we give them? I'll give some possible answers today. Also, Jasmine Crockett launches her Senate bid with what may be, despite stiff competition, the worst political ad of all time. And speaking of terrible ads, McDonald's has just released a fully AI-generated Christmas ad. It's even worse than I expected. As we approach Christmas, I'll answer the age-old question, what should a parent do about Santa? All of that and more today on the Matt Walsh Show. Here's a mystery that, depending on who you ask, has a couple of very different explanations. Why are so many allegedly conservative federal judges now openly revolting against the Trump administration? Why are these judges discarding any pretense of impartiality, which is why we have judges in the first place, in order to moonlight as Rachel Maddow impersonators and give lengthy interviews to left-wing media in which they bash Donald Trump? Specifically, why are so many judges who were appointed by Ronald Reagan, at least 4 of them by my count, publicly attacking the president and his administration? Now, to give just one example of this, Massachusetts District Judge Mark Wolf, who was appointed by Reagan 40 years ago and retired in November, stated this week that, quote, "Our rule of law and our democracy will be doomed unless Trump is stopped." Other Reagan appointees have lashed out at Trump's efforts to end birthright citizenship, as well as his pardons of January 6th defendants. It's the usual hysterics and talking points that we're all familiar with, but it's coming from judges who are supposed to be neutral. So where is this insurgency from the conservative judiciary coming from exactly? Well, if you ask Democrats, the reason for this phenomenon, of course, is that Donald Trump is Orange Hitler, and even his party can't stand him anymore. He's so evil that even judges can't be expected to, act like adults anymore. If you ask Republicans, especially Trump supporters, many of them will point out correctly that Ronald Reagan wasn't as conservative as we often give him credit for. He did, after all, grant amnesty to millions of illegal aliens, a move that permanently destroyed the state of California and many others, and the country. So maybe Reagan appointed leftist judges because at some level he harbored sympathies for their ideology. But the actual reason for this revolt by the allegedly conservative judges is none of the above, really. Although outside of a small number of people, including the law professor Margot Cleveland, nobody really has pointed this out. And the truth is that, indeed, many of these conservative judges are not actually conservative at all. That's true. But at the same time, in many cases, Reagan's hands were tied. In many cases, the judges were selected because of something called the blue slip process, which removes a huge amount of authority from the democratically elected president. Now, this is a process that's worth talking about in some detail, and most Americans have no idea what it is. They have no idea what a blue slip is or why it's relevant. So just from a historical perspective, it's interesting enough, but it's also extremely important to learn about it for practical reasons as well. The blue slip process doesn't simply explain why so many Reagan judges are attacking Trump. The continued existence of this ridiculous process also helps to explain why Republicans are completely failing to accomplish anything in Congress at the moment. If you want to understand why the GOP has a majority of both houses of Congress but hasn't been productive, hardly at all, then you need to know about this. Now, for his part, the president clearly understands the implications. On Monday, Trump once again weighed in on blue slips, as he's been doing for several weeks now. Listen.
U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey after the courts disqualified her. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, she's not disqualified. You've got a blue slip thing that's horrible. It's a horrible thing. It makes it impossible to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney, and it's a shame. And the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves that they allow this to go on, because I can't appoint a U.S. attorney that's not a Democrat, because they put a block on it. So if you appoint in Virginia or in New Jersey, or in California, a U.S. attorney or a judge. I mean, a judge situation is ridiculous. The only people that you can get by are Democrats because they will put a hold on it. If I put up George Washington and Abraham Lincoln to be U.S. attorney in New Jersey or to be U.S. attorney in Virginia, where you have Democrat senators, they will not approve them.
Okay, so here's how the blue slip process works and why Trump is furious with congressional Republicans over it, and rightly so. Starting around the 1900s, if the White House wanted to nominate a federal judge or a U.S. attorney, the Senate Judiciary Committee would send a blue slip to the two senators from that nominee's home state for approval. And yes, it's literally a blue slip. It looks something like this, hence the name blue slip. And if either of the senators disapproved, which they indicated by not returning the blue slip or by writing nasty words on it, then the nominee was in a lot of trouble. And he'd probably never become a judge or a U.S. attorney. The Senate committee would generally recommend that the full Senate vote against the nomination. So this was a very powerful tool because it meant that in the end, just one or two senators out of 100 could tank a candidate's nomination to be a judge if those senators were from the nominee's home state. Now, back in the early 20th century, the process made some degree of sense because the home state senator might have some useful and unique knowledge about the nominee that nobody else knew. And this was, after all, an era before the internet. Information about individual nominees was often hard to come by, especially if you didn't live in the area where this nominee was. By the 1960s or so, the blue slip began serving a very different purpose, though. It was primarily a way for segregationist senators in the South to tank the nominations of federal judges who might enforce civil rights laws and integration. A single negative or unreturned blue slip would completely sink a nomination and prevent any further action in the Senate. So in this time period, the blue slip process basically gave individual senators a veto power over any nomination. And then from the 1970s to today, the blue slip process underwent more changes depending on which party controlled the Senate. And in general, the blue slip has remained extremely important in the confirmation process. If your home senators don't like you, then you're in a lot of trouble. So this is how we ended up with Reagan-appointed judges like Mark Wolf in Massachusetts. And it's not that Reagan liked Mark Wolf. The blue slip process dictated that if Reagan wanted to appoint a federal judge in Massachusetts, then he had to get the approval of John Kerry and Ted Kennedy. So he had to appoint a liberal, basically, because those two guys had unofficial veto power. And Reagan's hand was forced by a very old, very dumb Senate tradition. And it's important to keep in mind as I go through this, because you might be wondering this, there's no law, there's no article in the Constitution about the blue slip process. It's totally arbitrary. It's completely made up. It doesn't have any basis in anything, not even in any like ancient legal traditions or anything like that. It's just made up. And it's long outlived any usefulness that it might have had at one point 100 years ago. During the first Trump administration, Republican senators appeared to realize this, and therefore, in February of 2019, history was made. For the first time in American history, a federal judge, Eric Miller, was appointed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals without the support of either of his home state senators in Washington state. Republicans confirmed Eric Miller, even though the Democrat senators failed to return their blue slips. And that should have been the moment where the blue slip process died forever, never to return. Instead, Republicans have kept the blue slip process, for some reason, alive for district judges as well as for U.S. attorneys. They only abandoned the process for circuit court judges. As a result, as you may have heard, Trump's nominee for U.S. attorney in New Jersey, U.S. attorney Alina Habba, has just had to resign. She wasn't getting any support from her Democrat home state senators, Cory Booker and Andy Kim, for obvious reasons. So Republicans, rather than hold a vote on her candidacy, followed the blue slip tradition and just allowed her nomination to die. This has become a major problem for Trump appointees from Nevada to California to Virginia. Democrats are using this arcane, ludicrous, arbitrary, useless blue slip tradition to derail the agenda of the democratically elected president. And Republicans are just going along with it, even though they don't have to. Here's a post from Chuck Grassley, the so-called dean of the Senate, just a few weeks ago. And I'm going to read this as best I can, even though for reasons that remain unclear, Chuck Grassley is incapable of writing sentences in coherent English. He's permanently posting mid-aneurysm, it seems. So we'll try to work our way through this. But here's what he wrote, quote, "The 100-year-old blue slip allows home state senators to have input on U.S. attorneys and district court judges in Biden admin Republicans kept, wait, hold on. Oh, there was no period there. In Biden admin, Republicans kept 30 liberals off bench that Pres Trump can now fill with conservatives." Close quote. In other words, Grassley is saying that we should tolerate the fact that Democrats are using the blue slip process to block Trump's nominees right now and sabotage his agenda, because during the Biden administration, Republicans used the blue slip process to block Democrats. This is an argument that if Grassley had made it back in, 1995 or so, if he had made it back in 1935 when he was first elected, it may have been somewhat persuasive, but we are now well past the point where Democrats should be afforded any kind of free political victory out of a sense of fairness or tradition. Democrats have become a party that openly celebrates the criminal prosecution and murder of their political opponents. They made it abundantly clear throughout the last 4 years that they're willing to defile any rule or tradition, including the rule of law, which our entire country depends upon, in order to destroy the Republican Party. So it's laughable to suggest that if Democrats take over Congress, they're going to respect a blue slip from Republican senators. But that's what Chuck Grassley and congressional Republicans are suggesting. They're saying we should keep, playing fair long after our opponents have decided that victory is all that matters. Only a political movement that's bent on its own suicide, as well as the suicide of the entire country, would push total nonsense like this. And Donald Trump appears to recognize that fact, which is why he was caught on a hot mic a couple of days ago expressing his frustration with congressional Republicans, as well as the fact that none of his nominees are getting confirmed. Listen.
Hey, Jeff, do you agree with me on blue slip? You know I cannot appoint anybody. Huh? I can't appoint anybody.
They're unplugging.
Everybody I've appointed, their time is expired. And then they're in default. And then we'll lose the case.
Now, you can understand the frustration because in addition to not getting his nominees confirmed, he's not getting anything else through Congress either. After nearly a year in power, it's hard to escape the conclusion that Republicans have failed to achieve anything of consequence despite controlling both the House and the Senate. They have monumentally failed to capitalize on their mandate. All the momentum they had just a few months ago is basically gone. Now, yes, Republicans in Congress did successfully fund ICE and border security. They cut some taxes. They tightened some welfare requirements. And those were the main achievements of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. They did pass the Lake and Riley Act, which makes it easier to imprison illegal aliens without bail when they commit serious crimes so that they don't, say, murder innocent women on college campuses or drive drunk and wipe out entire families. And those are a handful of meaningful accomplishments. But that's about it. They haven't done anything else. And it's been a year. Republicans, they have not copied the DOGE cuts or reduced the size of the federal government in a significant or meaningful way. In fact, they've pledged to rehire the federal bureaucrats who were terminated during the shutdown. Additionally, the Republican-controlled Congress has failed to pass any kind of national ban on child mutilation in the name of gender-affirming care, even though the White House issued an executive order to that effect. Republicans have failed to implement national voter ID laws to secure future elections and prevent illegal aliens from voting. They failed to do anything about the hordes of illegal aliens who are allowed to obtain commercial driver's licenses in this country. They haven't gotten rid of Obamacare, which has made health insurance far more expensive and considerably worse for almost everyone. They haven't passed any bills that might lower the cost of living, including proposed legislation that would eliminate red tape affecting energy and construction projects, cap interest payments on certain loans, and so on. It's a small list of what they have not done. They haven't achieved much. So what have they been doing? Well, they've been going out of their way to appeal to audiences who despise them and everything the conservative movement represents. And on that note, here's Republican Senator John Curtis of Utah on CNN a couple days ago. Watch this.
Right. And the best thing I can do is set my example. And I think all of us need to wake up every morning, look in the mirror and say, what are we doing? What am I doing specifically today to make this country a better country, to make all of our immigrants feel more welcome? That's what we've always had. And I think if more of us would do that, it would matter less what individuals said.
Right. But as you know, he's not just an individual. He's the president of the United States, calling an entire community garbage.
Notice how, even though he's giving the CNN anchor exactly what she wants, she still berates him. She's still not satisfied with his answer. And why would she be? She recognizes weakness when she sees it, and so does the rest of the left. They'll take full advantage of anyone who just wants to be liked. And as for John Curtis, he's completely inverted the entire issue. No, John. See, you have it backwards. We are not the ones who should be spending our time fretting about foreigners. We aren't the ones who have an obligation to those people. It's not our job to cater to them or make them feel welcomed or make them feel included. No, what should happen is every immigrant should wake up every morning and ask themselves what they can do to show their gratitude to this country and its people. Okay, they are the ones who should be asking themselves what they can do to contribute to our country and help and serve our people. The obligation is on them. The problem is not that Americans lack a welcoming spirit. We are more welcoming and more generous than anyone else in the world. It's not even close. Most other countries don't even pretend to care about the plight of foreigners. We are welcoming. We're too welcoming. We're too nice. So the problem is that immigrants who come here often lack any semblance of gratitude or humility, nor do they recognize any duty to this country or its native citizens. They come here with a list of demands, and even when those demands are met, which they shouldn't be, they don't even say thank you. So that's the problem. But no Republican politician will ever say that. So instead, we get lots of platitudes and lots of inaction. We get elderly Republicans defending blue slips and Senate traditions as the leadership of the Democrat Party openly plots our destruction. These people don't care about the unwritten rules of the Senate or whatever. They want one thing, and one thing only, which is the power the Republicans are currently squandering. Now let's get to our 5 headlines. For the past 3 weeks, you've heard me talk about our sponsor, Pure Talk's Unlimited for Life promotion. And this promotion was so successful, they're willing to extend it one final week. So now through December 14th, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot on their 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. This is Pure Talk's best plan, normally $65 a month, now just $29.95 a month. That's 50% off each month for life, permanently. But this offer absolutely ends on December 14th, so go to puretalk.com/Walsh for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan for just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch today in as little as 10 minutes. Bring your phone, keep your number, start saving. Again, that's puretalk.com/Walsh to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. See puretalk.com for details. People often pick up protein bars assuming that they're making a quick and healthy decision, but if you've ever taken the time to actually read the label, you were probably surprised to see how much sugar is in those bars. Finding a protein bar that tastes good and is made with quality ingredients might feel like a more daunting task than actually working out. So let me save you the time and energy and tell you about Equip Foods Prime Bar. Prime Bar is the first ever grass-fed beef protein bar. Prime Bar is made with only 11 clean ingredients, including collagen, beef tallow, and colostrum. It's naturally sweetened with dates and honey and gives you 20 grams of protein without any guilt at all. I've tried a lot of protein bars in the market, and none of them taste like real food. They taste artificial. They taste kind of strange, but Prime Bar actually tastes like real food, and it's good. If you want to try the cleanest protein bar on the market that already sold out once, go to equipfoods.com/Matt Walsh and use code Matt Walsh at checkout to get 25% off one-time purchases, or 40% off your first subscription order for a limited time. That's EQUIPfoods.com/Matt Walsh and use code Matt Walsh at checkout. All right, the Republicans being ineffectual, useless blobs has really upset me as usual, and I need to calm down a bit. So let's check in. Let's check in on the fish cam just so we can all feel better. Hey, look at that. The fish cam is looking all festive. I like how that's the only Christmas decorations I have in this whole studio. It's just the fish with a Christmas hat. And what does he have on his tail fin there? What is that supposed to be? A bow? What is it? A scarf. Okay. All right. Why would his scarf be there? Why would the fish's scarf be, at his ass? Is that where you wear a scarf? What do you think what do you use a scarf for? The scarf should be around he doesn't have a neck, but it should be, it should be around where the gills are. Or is it we don't put the scarf around the gills because then he would suffocate? Is that the idea? We got to figure that out. But anyway, so I wanted to just look at the fish and relax, but now I'm confused. He's got a scarf hanging off his ass, and I don't understand why. Anyway, well, that didn't work out. Jasmine Crockett has just filed to run for Senate, and I got to say, here's some good news. Here's some real good news. She put out her first Senate campaign ad, and I never thought I would say this, honest to God. And you probably never would have imagined hearing me say this, but I agree with every word of this ad. She put out this ad. This is a Jasmine Crockett ad. I agree with every word. I cannot complain about a single thing. I got to say, it's like 30 seconds long. And the whole thing, I agree with. Never in a million years did I think that I'd ever be able to say that, but here we are. I think Jasmine Crockett has proved that it's still possible to reach across the aisle and find common ground, which I really respect and I find incredibly inspirational. Let's watch it.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Wow. Could not have said it better myself, Jasmine. And that was the whole ad, by the way. Just to be clear, I didn't cut it off in the middle. I know you're watching that thinking, oh, you must have, you didn't show us the whole thing. No, that's it. That's the whole, there's no punchline. It's just Trump calling her stupid and then it ends. That's it. That's her opening argument. Her opening argument to be in the Senate is that the president thinks she's stupid. That's it. So, it's your first ad. It's a big deal. This is your chance to say, like, here's why you should elect me. There's going to be a lot of other ads. We're going to talk about a lot of other things, but here's my, here's kind of my thesis statement. Here it is. Right? Here's my elevator pitch. This is your chance to make your elevator pitch to the voters. Here's what it boils down to. Here's why you should elect me. And for Jasmine Crockett, what she's saying is the reason you should elect me is that Donald Trump says I'm stupid. That's it. The premise of her mission statement is that Trump says she has a low IQ. Now, usually if you're going to do an ad like this, which I wouldn't really recommend, I wouldn't recommend having an ad where anyone is calling you low IQ, especially if it's so obviously true. But if you're going to do it, then the way that you would do it is you would have the comments from all the haters, and not just one guy, but you want to have, really, I'm a little offended too because I've called her low IQ so many times. I've called her stupid. I know I'm not the president, but you could really spruce this up because a lot of us on the right have been calling you stupid, Jasmine. I've called you stupid so many times, I say it every day. And so, you can't make a spot for me. I think you could do a big compilation. A compilation could probably be an hour long, really, 2 hours long. of just everyone on the right calling you stupid. But here's what you would do, and this is what I would recommend if I had been asked, is and this is the way it would normally go for this. Like, I think what she's going for is it would be something like this. You have the montage of she's stupid, she'll never make it, she's dumber than a box of rocks, right? You know, she has the intelligence of a sea cucumber, all that kind of stuff. You would have all of that, and then it would lead to some kind of response, some kind of punchline where you demonstrate that you have transcended the doubters and the haters and that their criticisms are not true. Right? So in this case, it would be like Jasmine Crockett has low IQ, right? Low IQ, low IQ, low IQ for the first half of the ad. And then cut to a montage of Jasmine Crockett doing and saying a lot of impressive and smart things. That's the way that would go. But the problem, I think, for Crockett is that she has never done or said anything impressive ever in her entire life. The moment you hear her open her mouth and say anything, it is incredibly obvious that she cannot possibly have an IQ above 85 at a maximum. And so they don't have that. So that means that they don't have the response. They don't have the punchline, and they only have the setup. And that's it. It's like if you've ever seen one of those, one of those hype videos or like highlight reels of a football player, let's say, and in the beginning of the video, it's a montage. It's like if you saw a hype video on YouTube, there's a million of them, of Lamar Jackson and Baltimore Ravens QB, who's having a really bad season, by the way. So maybe the doubters were right all along, but that's a different conversation. But anyway, it's like a hype video where in the beginning, it's all the people saying, oh, he'll never make it. He's really a running back. He's not good enough to be a quarterback in this league. And you get all the haters and doubters. And then you cut to, oh, he's washed up. He's whatever. He's a bust. And then you cut to, needle drop, boom. Now we have him making a whole bunch of great plays and proving the doubters wrong and winning. Right? That's usually the way that goes. And this would be like a hype reel of an athlete where you get the beginning. He's washed up. He's a bum. He's past his prime. He's a draft bust. He's not going to make it. He's no good. And then it just ends. That's it. That's the end of it. So the message is basically, well, they said I couldn't do it. They said I'm not good enough. They said I'm too stupid. And turns out they were kind of right. The doubters, they kind of had me pegged on that one. I do suck. That's basically what she's saying. It is the worst political ad I've ever seen. It is, this maybe even beats that Christine O'Donnell ad from like 15 or 20 years ago, if you remember. That was the Tea Party lady who was, what was it? She was accused of witchcraft or something. And then she put out an ad, and at the beginning of the ad opens with her staring into the camera and saying, I am not a witch. And that was the worst ad of all time. We'd never seen an ad that terrible. And that was her, I think, maybe her first ad, or maybe it wasn't. But it's just the opening line of the ad is you saying, I'm not a witch. And I thought that no ad could ever be worse than that, but I think this might have a beat. And with Jasmine Crockett, what makes it so bad, it's not just that she's highlighting her low IQ. I mean, that's the big problem with the ad. But the other problem is that the entire pitch revolves around Trump. Right? The real pitch to voters here is that Trump doesn't like her. That's the actual point that she's making, obviously. And that's all she has. Because she hasn't done anything for her constituents. She hasn't achieved anything. She hasn't done anything. She's done absolutely nothing except appear on podcasts and say a lot of really dumb things. And so her whole pitch for why she should be in the Senate is that Trump doesn't like her. I will say, though, that Jasmine Crockett did present a little bit more of a robust case at her campaign kickoff event when we were treated to whatever this is exactly.
And we're going to see how this go. All right, y'all ready? Let's get into it. Okay. She ain't never scared and she ain't never been. Who is willing to go toe-to-toe against the president? I can't wrap my head around someone who votes Republican. She advocate for feeding kids, they protect folks touching them. Trump invading his own country with our army, what a joke. We remember Pearl Harbor by illegally bombing boats. What y'all thought we wasn't gonna do nothing, buddy? Think again. They only trying to scare out of running cause they think she'll win. Listen, thought I told y'all we ain't never scared. Now look who name on the docket. Got 2 words for every racist bigot. Jasmine Crockett.
Y'all hear the word.
Me, I hope my money goes to side that isn't trying to say affordability's a hope. She stand on business, Austin toes. Texas soap, don't need no more bad built, bleached, blonde, butch bodies moving forward.
So
some of the words messed up.
yeah, not exactly a serious campaign, just to summarize. Not only do you have a bad rap song, but the guy performing it doesn't even remember the words. And, you know, rap has, this is kind of a whole other topic, but rap music has fallen off a cliff. And I think recently it was like the first time in decades that there was not a single rap song in the top 40. And that was a few weeks ago. I'm not sure if that's still the case. But it's not as popular as it used to be. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And, I mean, one of the reasons is that every genre of music has become, shall we say, urbanized. And which means that it's kind of like rap doesn't have a lane anymore. You don't really need it. I mean, even when country now sounds like urban, now it's like, well, what do we need rap for? That's one of the problems. But maybe another problem is that it's kind of that. It's just kind of, it's sort of lazy. Like if you're performing a rap, at least make the words rhyme. Right? That's the whole point. I mean, it's a very lyrical form of art form, and I do believe it is an art form. It can be an art form, but it's very lyrical, and so you have to actually rhyme. And I'm listening to that, and he tries to rhyme Republican with folks touching them. It doesn't quite work. I mean, it's hard to come up with a word that rhymes with Republican. I'll agree with you, but maybe just find a different line. And, you know, some people have wondered what Jasmine Crockett is really up to here. She's launching this campaign in Texas, a Trump state, a red state. Her entire platform is that she hates Trump and Trump hates her. And she's running on that platform in, again, a Trump state. So what's the strategy here? What's the point? And the most obvious answer is that she's low IQ. She's a very stupid person. And that kind of explains it. But also the other part of the answer is that she isn't trying to win necessarily. Right? That explains a lot of these people. Jasmine Crockett wants to be an influencer. That's all she wants to be. Her real dream. I mean, if Jasmine Crockett could do anything at all, anything, she wouldn't be president. If someone offered her that on a silver platter and said, here's you could be president. Here's a button. Press this button and you'll be president. She would not press the button. If the other option, if the other button she could press is, okay, press this button and you could have 20 million Instagram followers and a successful podcast, she would take the latter in a heartbeat. That is her dream. That's her actual goal. And you have to understand that that nowadays, that is the goal of a huge number of people in politics. They're not scheming to become president. They're scheming to become podcasters, to become influencers. That's what they want to do. They want attention. That's what drives them. And I know you might say, well, it's always been that way. No, it definitely hasn't. I mean, obviously, there's the obvious reason that podcasts and the social media influencers didn't exist until recently. But just the underlying motivation of somebody like Jasmine Crockett, it's incredibly obvious. I'm not saying anything. This should not be a revelation to you. She just wants attention. She really badly wants attention. And that has not always been the case. That is not what motivated people to get into politics in the past, is wanting attention for attention's sake. And it's bad enough that a lot of these people, they don't even really thirst for power anymore. Now, institutionally, we just talked about in the opening, like the Democrat Party institutionally still wants power and is much better at scheming for it generally than Republicans are, and take more advantage of the power that they have than Republicans ever do. So institutionally, that's still the case. But individually, for a lot of these, especially the newer people in Congress, the people who are like millennials and younger, what they want is attention. And it's so bad that I wish, like I'm longing for the old days when every politician, they were all a bunch of power-hungry lunatics, and all they wanted was power and control. That would be better. That would be better than what we have now. Because at least scheming to take power requires a certain amount of intelligence, a certain amount of ambition, a certain amount of skill. And along the way, in your quest for power, you might, as a byproduct, do a few useful things for the American people. Or you might not, but you might. I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance that in your lust for power and in all the scheming that you do, that maybe it requires you to do a few things that are actually useful. But if your only objective, like Jasmine Crockett, if all you care about is just fame and attention, then you'll never do anything useful or good, even by accident. Like, seeking power is not a bad thing in and of itself. There's a lot of bad things you can do with power, but wanting to have power is not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. Seeking attention, though, just for its own sake is always bad. Is always bad. And nothing useful or good ever comes out of that, ever. And these are the kinds of people that are getting elected now. And and it's not going to be that long, especially as the baby boomers age out, and it's nothing but millennials in Congress, millennials and Gen Z. It's going to be nothing but people of no interest in governing at all. They have no interest in power. They don't even want power, because power that requires, puts pressure on you to do things, and they'd prefer to not have that. Jasmine Crockett wants to be exactly where she is right now, where she's at. She really doesn't have any power. Trump is in office, got a Republican in office, Republicans control Congress. There's nothing for her to do. She's not expected to do anything. And so she can just go out there and do a lot of interviews, do a lot of podcasts, that sort of thing, and just be an influencer. That's what she wants. That's what she wants. And we are rapidly approaching a point where that's all we have, are people like that. We're officially in the midst of the holiday season, and all the Christmas chaos can mean it's hard to find peace amid the cookies, wrapping paper, and half-packed suitcases that litter your front entryway. So this year, take a breath, lean into the stillness of the Advent season. Thankfully, my friends at Hallow have designed a challenge that's impactful and perfect for a busy holiday schedule. This Advent, you'll dive into the real story of Christmas, discover that it was probably just as chaotic as our own, and learn to surrender it all to God anyway, and find real peace. Throughout Hallow's Advent Challenge, Pray 25, Be Still, you'll have the opportunity to meditate on the words of Psalm 46, Be still and know that I am God, and hear powerful excerpts from the Read of God and the ruthless elimination of hurry. Experience the stillness of the Holy Family amidst the chaos and busyness of the world, and dive into the story of the Nativity. Get 3 months free of Hallow today at hallow.com/Matt Walsh, and prepare for your most peaceful Christmas season yet. All right, let's see, what else do we have? McDonald's has released a fully, well, we just talked about a bad advertisement, so there's a little bit of a common thread here. Here's another ad, a bad one in a different way. McDonald's has just released a fully AI-generated Christmas ad, and this is one of the first major companies, to my knowledge, to put out a fully generated ad. Certainly, this is not the first fully generated AI ad to exist. I mean, those are all over the place. Those are all over the place now. You see them all over the place. But especially on YouTube and that sort of thing, like the ads on the internet seem like they're almost all AI now. But as far as a company of McDonald's size and influence, I think that this is new. This is an escalation in AI's war on humanity. The account Culture Crave on X posts the video with this caption: McDonald's has released an AI-generated Christmas ad. The studio behind it says they hardly slept for several weeks while writing AI prompts and refining the shots. AI didn't make this film, we did. Comments have been turned off on YouTube. Of course they have. So before we even play it, I could just say, no, you did not make this ad. We've been up for weeks writing prompts. Oh, wow, that sounds really hard. No, you didn't make anything. Just to be clear, you did not. AI made it. That's the difference between AI and like I've had people were talking about this today, and people were saying, "What's the difference between this and CGI?" It's a huge difference. CGI is a tool. It's an art form, and so you need actual artists to then go in and use this tool. They're just using the computer to create that. Like they have to come up with the ideas, come up with the concepts, and then create it. Which is why, like I could not. If you told me, and you gave me a computer, you gave me the tools to do it, and said create a CGI film or something, I wouldn't be able to do it. I can't just do that because it requires skill. You have to learn how to do it. And even if you learn how to do it, there's people who are good at it and people who are bad at it. But AI, like if you gave me the same AI program that McDonald's used, I could create this exact thing because all it requires you to do is just type in, generate an image of this, generate a commercial about X, and boom, it pops out. So, no, you didn't make it. Any more than if you're at a restaurant. You know what it is? It's like if you're at a restaurant and you look at a menu and you say, yes, I'll have the New York strip, medium rare, which is the only correct way to order a steak. You didn't make the steak. Like in no way are you responsible for, if the steak is great, if it's the best steak you ever had, you do not get any of the credit for that at all. All you did was point at a menu and say, I'll have that. And that's what AI is. It's just you selecting, it's just you saying, I'll take that. Yep. You didn't create it. So this was not created. This is not art, but here it is anyway.
It's the most terrible time of the year. All the shops turn to mayhem, even Santa knows space, and the tree redecorated your place. It's the most terrible time of the year. The roast turned to charcoal, and the cookies burn too. Friggin' chaos, it feels like a zoo. It's the most terrible time of the year. So you bleed from the madness, the lights and the cheer, and hide out in McDonald's till January's here.
Wow, I hate it. I know you're shocked. I know you're shocked that that's my take. You're watching that and you're like, what's Matt's take on this? I wonder how he feels. I wonder if he's going to like it or not. Well, I don't like it. It is witless, charmless, lifeless, artless. It sucks. It's awful. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate everyone associated with it. I hate everyone who likes it. I won't go that far. I don't hate the people. I don't hate people, but I hate everything else. And I don't hate the people associated with this or the people who like it, but I have deep contempt, resentment for those individuals. That's how I feel. I have no respect for them as people. I don't hate them. I just have no respect for you. If you watch that and you go, I kind of like that. In fact, there was someone reacting to this. I saw it on the post on X. Said it was beautiful. Beautiful? How dare you? How could you even say that word to describe this lifeless, disgusting, weird, uncanny, algorithmic slop? Beautiful? Really? And you know what? This is to say nothing of the message of the ad, which is also awful. We haven't even, we have to gloss over it's bad in so many ways that we don't even have time to spend on it. But the message of the ad is also terrible. It's the most terrible time of the year. What? That is your Christmas ad? Is that it's a terrible time of the year? I understand it's supposed to be a joke, but it's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. It's not relatable. Okay, like an ad marketing, making an advertisement, it's supposed to be relatable. People should be able to relate to it emotionally. Nobody hates Christmas. Who do you think? No one hates Christmas. I hate everything. I don't hate Christmas. How could you possibly hate Christmas? Now, you might get stressed out a little bit, but nobody thinks Christmas is a terrible time of the year. It's like cartoonish. What are you, Scrooge? I mean, what is it, the Grinch? I mean, who is this for? Who is this for? This is for the Grinch in his tower above Whoville. He's going to look at that ad and he's going to love it. No one else is looking at that ad and relating to it. So they're taking these Christmas images and Christmas tune and trying to get their customers to associate negative feelings with Christmas, which, aside from being anti-Christmas and thus anti-Christian, and yes, it is anti-Christian, and if you doubt that, well, you would never see this with any other religion. Okay, they would never put out an ad describing any other religion's holiday as a terrible time of the year. Okay, where is the ad describing Ramadan as a terrible time of the year? And if that ad did exist, everyone would agree that it's, Islamophobic or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't use that term, but a lot of people would. So, on top of that, it's just bad marketing. What's the pitch? That the Christmas season is terrible and stressful, so we should seek solace and comfort inside a McDonald's? Yes, because when I think of a warm, quiet, peaceful place, I think of a McDonald's fast food restaurant, right? I think of a fast food establishment. I mean, if you're trying to take it that direction, which I don't think is the right direction, then the final shot, I'm tired of doing this is the whole show now, doing everyone's job for them. I'm telling you how to do ads. But this is why I've said before, the whole marketing industry is nonsense. Like, no one in the marketing industry has any idea what they're doing. If you're hiring anyone to do marketing, they're just ripping it. Like, they're a bunch of scam artists. No one in marketing knows how to market anything ever. Okay, I feel comfortable saying that. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and everyone's wasting their money. Every company that hires marketing people, you realize they're just ripping you off. They're just scamming you. They have no clue. They have no clue how to do it. Any normal person could look at it and say, well, no, a much better way would be to do it this way. So I don't have a marketing degree, but I can tell you, if you want to go for that, Christmas is a hectic time of year. Okay, well, then the final shot should be a family at home enjoying their McDonald's peacefully, fireplace glowing in the background. Okay, it's hectic and crazy around the holidays. You don't have time to make a meal. Go to McDonald's. We'll make a meal for you. Bring it home. Share it with your family. That would make some kind of sense. But instead, they want their customers to see McDonald's itself, the building, as some kind of sanctuary, some kind of warm and inviting place. So we should associate negative feelings with Christmas, but positive feelings with the inside of a McDonald's. Right, yeah, because, the unbathed homeless guy sitting 3 stalls over is asking everyone for their change because he wants to buy a meal, but really he's going to go outside and buy crack with it. Yeah, that's what I want to see at Christmas. When I walk into a McDonald's and everything is gross and like sticky and the garbage cans are overflowing and the Coke machine doesn't work and there's a touch screen thing that's all smudged with fingerprints, people have their gross hands all over it, and everyone is just in a bad mood, and the employees hate you for walking in, and half the people are homeless, and everyone smells and everyone's fat. When I walk into that's what I think. That's what I want around Christmas time. That's my happy place. That's my peace and solace. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So the marketing doesn't make any sense, but that's what you get from AI. AI is not human, doesn't have a soul, it doesn't have feelings, it doesn't have a mind, it doesn't understand how to harness the Christmas spirit to sell stale chicken nuggets. It doesn't understand anything. And aside from the message, the ad itself, the imagery is bland and bleak and gray and artless and lifeless and just weird. I saw people reacting to this saying, you can't even tell that it's AI. Really? You can't? You can't tell that that's AI? Oh, well, then we're doomed. Well, then we are doomed as a species at that point. Because if that's already fooling some people, I could tell that's AI immediately. You didn't need to tell me that was AI. 2 seconds into it, it's like, yeah, this is AI. This is clearly AI. It's not even, it's not hard to even spot. And that's already fooling people? Oh, well, we're just done. We're done at that point. Because if that's fooling you, and if there are people who are satisfied with that, if there are people who would look at that and say, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'll take this instead. well, then, I don't know, game over. Are you looking for a gift that actually stands the test of time? With our show sponsor, Policy Genius, you can give your family the gift of security and peace of mind with life insurance. Policy Genius makes finding life insurance simple, helping you secure real coverage so your loved ones have the financial safety net they need when it matters most. Policy Genius is a simple online marketplace where you can compare quotes from all the major insurers in one place, completely free. They've got a team of licensed experts who will walk you through everything, answer your questions, deal with all the paperwork, and help you figure out what coverage actually makes sense for you without all the confusing insurance jargon. The whole point is to find you the most affordable policy that actually fits your situation. And based on thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot, well, they're clearly really good at it. With Policy Genius, real users have gotten 20-year, $2 million policies for just $53 a month. Don't wait until next year. Give your family the gift of security today with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/Walsh to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/Walsh. Here's a truly awful story. Daily Mail has this chilling moment. Afghan asylum seekers drag 15-year-old girl into the bushes before raping her. Pair jailed over horrific attack. That's the headline. And so apparently there's video. This is a CCTV footage that was released, and which we're not going to put up on the screen. But it says, this is the moment 2 teenage Afghan asylum seekers dragged a screaming schoolgirl towards a dark park where they would rape her. Small boat migrants Jan Jahanzeb and Israr Nayazal, both 15, were on Monday jailed for sexually assaulting the 15-year-old. They were both named following a legal victory by the Daily Mail. Chilling CCTV released in the wake of their sentencing showed the boys leading their victim across a bridge where they would assault her. Separate footage captured by the victim on her phone was so appalling that one of the boys' own barristers warned it would lead to rioting if the public were to see it. And then it goes on. You could find the article. I don't even want to keep reading it. But there's apparently a video that this girl took while she was being dragged away. And it's 3 minutes long. And it's as horrifying as you could possibly imagine, probably a lot more horrifying than that. And the lawyers for these guys are saying, well, we can't release it. It will cause a riot. Well, then I say release it. I mean, it should be released. I don't want to see it. I wouldn't watch it myself, but it should be released for the sake of anyone who still needs a wake-up call. If you don't need a wake-up call, you don't need to see something like that. But if you do need a wake-up call, then maybe you need to see it. Because this is what's happening. There are people that are being imported into our country and into every Western country. This happened in the UK, not the US, but it's the same thing. These are the people that are being imported. So these migrants claimed asylum, right? They were asylum seekers, and they were granted asylum, I guess. And then they proceeded to lure a young girl into the woods and sexually assault her. And this happens all over the Western world every single day. I mean, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of cases like this that have happened over the last few years. And it just continues to happen. And this is why we need to be done with asylum. Okay, we need to be done with a lot of things. We need to be done with illegal immigration. We need to be done with much of even legal immigration. We should be done with all of it for now, as far as I'm concerned. But we certainly need to be done with asylum. That's where we're at. Get rid of asylum. Asylum is a scam. I mean, we have imported the worst, most degenerate filth into the West under the guise of asylum. Because here's what happens, right? This is a thing that people don't talk about enough. You think about asylum, and what you're supposed to think, what the image that's supposed to come to your mind is, well, like the huddled masses, right? The women and children and the persecuted, and they come seeking. That's the image that asylum is supposed to bring to mind. And if you're not paying attention at all, then maybe it still does. But in reality, that's not what happens. Asylum means that the most dysfunctional people from other countries, people who could not hack it, people who were rejected by their own communities, people with no skills, people often with no morals, come here, come to Western countries and claim asylum. They're claiming asylum not from persecution, not from oppression, but from their own dysfunction, basically. They're in their country. They couldn't hack it. They couldn't make it. They got nothing to offer. They're totally dysfunctional. None of the people in their own community don't want them. And they come here and they basically say, I suck at everything. I'm an outcast. My own country doesn't want me. I have nothing to offer. Please take care of me. And then we say, yes. And they thank us by robbing us and scamming us and killing us and raping our wives and children. That's what's happening. It's an abomination. And I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. We have to be done with it. Oh, but you don't have sympathy for the plight of foreigners. No, I don't. Okay? I don't. Like, I'll just be honest with you. I have sympathy for my own people and my own country. I don't have enough sympathy to go around. I can't have sympathy for the entire world. I can't muster that. Nobody can. Not in any meaningful way. And even if we could, okay, fine. So, okay, the foreigners have my pity. Great. I don't even know what that means. Oh, great. Okay, I have sympathy for them. I have pity for them. Okay. I can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. We can't solve all the world's problems. We can't help everybody. There's 8 billion people in the world. We can't. We can't give them all food. We can't give them all places. We literally can't do it. It's not possible. And so we should sympathize with them. Okay, fine. What does that mean? It just means I feel something? Sure. Okay, they have my pity. Great. So take the pity, and you can have all the pity. They come here seeking us. I want asylum. Okay, you want pity. Here's your pity. Here's a heaping load of pity. Now get the hell out. Take the pity and go somewhere else. I hope the pity makes you feel better. Okay, tell us your sob story. Oh, that sounds pretty bad. Okay, anyway, now you can leave. Go seek asylum somewhere else. Why is it our job? Why is it the job of the West to provide asylum to the misfits and outcasts from other countries? That's what it is. That's what asylum is. That's what most of these refugees are. They are the misfits and outcasts of other countries. What happened to beggars can't be choosers, by the way? So you washed out of your own country, and that means that now the best countries have to take you in? Like you leapfrog right over all the other. So you go from your terrible crap hole country that you don't want to be in, and you get to go right to the best country. Well, I couldn't make it in this crap hole terrible country, so I think I'll just go to the best country ever and have them take care of me. No. How about no? Here's an idea. If you're an African asylum seeker, seek asylum in an African country. If you're an Arab asylum seeker, seek asylum in an Arab country. If you're an Asian asylum seeker, seek asylum in an Asian country. Let them find asylum in a country with a similar culture. How about that? When people say we got to bring in the asylum seekers, and then we say no, the response is, oh, what are these people going to do? Well, they're all going to die. Well, number one, how's that my problem? Number two, what, do all the other countries in the world not exist? What do you mean? There's all these other countries. Why not put some of the onus on them? How is it all the onus on us and 0% of the onus is on anyone else? How does that make sense? And guess what? If none of those other countries will take them in, well, that's all the more reason why we shouldn't either. Like, if any country has a moral obligation to accept Arab asylum seekers, it's an Arab country. And if any country has a moral obligation to accept African asylum seekers, it's an African country. And if they won't do it, if they're looking at these people and saying, we don't want them here, well, then that makes me go, that's all the more reason why, well, I don't want them either. So if your answer is, well, they can't get asylum anywhere, no other country will take them, well, then I don't want them. Why the hell do we want them? You're telling me they've been rejected by like their whole continent and we're going to take them and now they're going to move in next door? It's like, imagine if somebody from a neighborhood 20 miles away were to come knocking on your door. You never met this person, have no idea who they are. They're not from your town, never met them. They knock on your door explaining that they've run out of food and they're unemployed and they need you to give them food. They're not asking, right? They're not asking. This is not even like someone coming, and we're not talking about widows and orphans. We're talking about like a guy. Let's say a 19-year-old guy from a town 21 miles over, right? Just shows up at your door, knocks on the door. Maybe he doesn't even knock. I mean, for the analogy to really work, he just opens the door. He opens the door and shouts and says, hey, I need some food. I'm hungry. Hey, I'm hungry. I need food. No request, no humility, nothing like that. Just a demand. Now, you'd probably tell them to piss off right away. Like, there's not going to be any conversation. It's like, no, get the hell off my property. You're going to pull out a gun and say, get off of my property right now. But I'm hungry. I need food. Okay, go get food somewhere else. Get the hell. I don't know you. Okay? You're not my kid. I'm feeding my kid lunch right now. You're not my child. Get the hell out of my house. But if you did get into any conversation with them, which is more than you're obligated, the first thing you're going to ask is, who are you? And where are you from? And why are you coming here exactly? And let's say they tell you, well, I live 20 miles away. And then you'll ask, okay, so you live in a house 20, so why did you come here? Like, why did you come here specifically? I don't even know you. Like, why did you get into a car and drive all this way if you want food? If you're a little hungry and you want food, why did you come here? Of all the houses, including all the houses right next to yours, why did you come to mine? Why didn't you ask your neighbors? Now, they'll answer one of two ways. They might say that they did ask their neighbors and all their neighbors refused. And if that's what they say, then you're going to be very suspicious. You're going to say, okay, so all the people who know you and live next to you would not help you. Maybe they're all terrible, but more likely you're terrible, right? Either I can believe that you live in a neighborhood of scumbags, so there's like hundreds of scumbags, or it's just one. That's the other explanation, is that you're a scumbag, and that's why they're not helping you. Or maybe he'll say, well, I never asked my neighbors. I just came right to you. Well, that's going to make me think again. I'm going to be suspicious again. Like, why didn't you ask your neighbors? If you need help, why did you specifically go to someone who would not know you or anything about you? Why did you go far out of your way to a stranger, to somebody with no frame of reference, who doesn't know you and has no background on you, to ask for help? That makes me suspicious. And so I'm going to close my door and tell you, you have 2 seconds to get the hell off my porch before I start shooting. Especially if you're a full-grown, able-bodied man. Because the other thing is, if you're a full-grown, able-bodied man and you're 19 years old or whatever, you should be able to figure out how to get some food. What are you doing knocking on a door saying, you should be able to figure it out, buddy. And if you're that incompetent and lazy, well, that's not my problem. Either way, not my problem. Get the hell off my porch. And I think that's what we would all do if this happened in our own homes. And it's no different. It's no different for the country when we got these strangers showing up from God knows where, demanding help. And it's like, why did you come? What are you doing here? I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. I have no background on you. You very specifically are not asking for help from any of the people around you who might be able to relate more to you. That makes me suspicious. But anyway, I don't have to explain myself. This is our country, not yours. Leave. You ever feel too busy to make healthy choices? Do you find yourself too tired at the end of the day to cook a healthy meal and find yourself frequenting your favorite drive-thru more than you would like? Well, you're not alone. Life can make it hard to make healthy choices sometimes, but there's one option that even the busiest person can make time for, and that's Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature's whole health system. Supplements make it easy to eat the fruits, veggies, spices, and fibers that you're supposed to eat on a daily basis. You can take them however you like. Swallow them with water, chew them, or open the capsules and mix the powder into your meals or drinks. Inside, you'll find 47 ingredients from 100% real whole fruits, vegetables, spices, and fibers. Everything from cinnamon to turmeric, mango to pineapple, spinach to mushrooms. Simple way to give your body the nutrition it needs every day. I personally love it because of its convenience. When I'm traveling for work or trying to keep up with the kids, it gives me a simple, no mess, no stress way to make sure I'm getting all the essential nutrients in my diet. New and existing customers can get 50% off the whole health system for life with this limited time offer. Go to balanceofnature.com to claim this offer. Finally, quickly, it's about that because I can't end on. I got to end on something a little bit slightly nicer. It's about that time of year again for the Santa discourse to start, and every year I'm seeing this on social media. The great Santa debate. And it started again. I don't know who started it. Probably not any one person started it, but I'm seeing it pop up on my feed again. All the debating about Santa and should you tell your kids about. Now, by the way, if you have little children in earshot, you should turn this off. A lot of the conversations we have on the show are not appropriate for little kids, including the one we just had. So they should be listening anyway. But if they are, you should turn it off because I do want to chime in on this because it does annoy me. A lot of posts on X that have been popping up. Here's just one, for example, from an account I follow. It says, if you tell your kids there's a Santa, you're lying to them. They're going to later find out that you lied to them and realize that you may again lie to them in the future. I don't know why parents do this, although mine didn't, but it's a good indicator of bad parenting in my book. So there's a lot of stuff like that. You're lying to your kids about Santa. You're a bad parent. You're traumatizing them. They'll never trust you again. All this kind of stuff. And let me just say this. We are a Santa household. We are Santa believers. Okay? And we are Santa maxing, as the kids might say, every Christmas. Are we lying to our kids? Are we engaged in a deceptive conspiracy? No. Because here's what you have to understand about young kids. They don't understand what not real even means. So these parents that feel so proud of themselves because they go to like their 4-year-old and say, well, Santa isn't real. Do you understand your 4-year-old doesn't know what you're talking about? Do you understand that to your 4-year-old, not real doesn't mean anything? For your 4-year-old, when you say Santa isn't real, well, he's like, well, what do you mean? I see Santa on TV. I see him at the mall. What do you mean he's not real? It's clearly real. And that's it. Like that's all that a young kid understands. Young children think that Superman is real. Okay, they think fairies and leprechauns and dragons and mermaids are real. They think monsters are real. They're actually worried about a monster in their closet. That's like a real thing that a 5-year-old is concerned about in his life. And when you say, maybe had this conversation with your 5-year-old, you say, well, monsters aren't real, number one, and there's not. I've tried to reason this way with my own kids. I open the closet, say, like, look, it's a wall, there's nothing in here. And the thing you're worried about doesn't even exist. And even if it did exist, like it's not in your closet. Look at the closet. There's nothing in here, I promise you. But doesn't matter. They don't understand that because they have it in their imagination. They have it in their mind. And so if they have it in their mind, then it's real. And that's all they know. And they think every character they see on TV is real. Paw Patrol is a documentary for your 4-year-old. Your 4-year-old is not watching a cartoon show. Your 4-year-old is watching like the real life adventures live. For a 4-year-old, Paw Patrol is cops. It's like watching live footage of actual police officers at work. It's just that they happen to be dogs. So that's what it is. And so here's my question: with your kids that have this fantastical view of the world, do you go out of your way? I know their parents are proud of themselves. We don't do Santa in our house. We're too honest. We're far too honest for that. Well, do you extend that to everything else fantastical that they believe? Do you go out of your way to make sure they don't believe in anything else? Like if your daughter came up to you, if your 5-year-old daughter came up to you and said, hey, Daddy, I saw a fairy in the garden. I was out in the garden. I saw a fairy. Would you like bend down and look her in the eyes and say, fairies aren't real? I know you're lying. You didn't see a fairy. Okay? Debunked. Actually, fact check, fairies aren't real. I could show you on Snopes. Come here, let's look it up. I'll show you the Snopes. It's been debunked. Actually, fairies don't exist. Do you do that with your 5-year-old? Or are you like a normal person? And when your 5-year-old says, I saw a fairy in the garden, do you say, oh, you did? Awesome. Where was it? What did it look like? Oh, wow, that's amazing. I would hope it's the latter. I would hope that that's how you respond. Is that lying? I mean, if telling your kids about Santa is lying, then that would be lying too. Is it lying? But you know what? It's not. It's playing a game. That's what it is. You're playing a game. This is a point that I think Jordan Peterson has made. I think it's a good way of putting it. Like, what is it? When we tell your kids about Santa, are you lying? You're not lying. You're playing a game. It's a game is what it is. And now your kids don't really know that it's a game, but they don't know that any game is a game, right? Everything is real. Children live in a fantasy world where magic is real. And going out of your way to kill this kind of magical thinking in a 5-year-old is ridiculous to me. Let them live in that world. They're children. Why take it from them? I mean, really, they get to live, like your kids get to live in a world for a short amount of time where there's actually a magical fat guy who flies through the air on reindeer and comes down a chimney and gives them presents. That, I mean, it's a little, as you get older and you think about it more cynically, it's a little bit creepy, but for a kid, it's like amazing. And they get to actually live in that world, as far as they know. And why not let them? And when do you tell your kids that Santa isn't real? Well, that's not difficult to figure out. You tell them at precisely the moment when they grow out of it anyway. Kids grow out of it eventually. They kind of figure it out. And when that happens, you tell them that Santa was just a game. I don't even, like I hear from these adults sometimes who talk about, well, when I found out Santa wasn't real, I was traumatized. I never trusted my parents again. Okay, well then get a grip. Okay, that's a you problem. Really? You're an adult still dealing with the trauma of finding out Santa wasn't real? Really? Because what should have happened, what happened with me, is like, I think my parents told me officially. I don't even think my parents ever officially told me. I just kind of got to an age and I'm like, well, this obviously isn't real. You just kind of, you just see it because you lose some of the innocence of childhood and you start to realize, like, okay, well, there's no fairies and leprechauns and stuff like that. And then you realize that Santa isn't real. And you know, maybe as parents, you sit down. We did this with our oldest kids, our oldest twins a few years ago. Did the talk. It's the first time about Santa. And that was their reaction. I told them, you know, the Santa isn't real. And they didn't collapse in tears. They didn't start screaming. They weren't traumatized. You know what they said? Both of my kids? They said, yeah, Dad, we know. And that was it. That was the whole conversation. And they were excited because now they get to play the game on the other side with their younger siblings. And now they get to sort of be Santa around Christmas time. They get to help with some of that stuff. And they have a lot of fun with that. Not because they're malicious and they're excited to lie to their siblings, but it's just a fun game that now they get to play and they get to help their younger siblings, you know, kind of have this kind of magical reality. So, and they take the job very seriously. So that's it. That should be the final. I would hope that would just be the final statement on Santa, and I have decreed it as so, and hopefully we can all leave it there. You heard it here, and that's the end of the conversation. And that will do it for the show today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Godspeed.
All of this is an illusion, an echo of a voice that has died. And soon that echo will cease.
They say that Merlin is mad. They say he was a king in Dyfed, the son of a princess of lost Atlantis. They say the future and the past are known to him, that the fire and the wind tell him their secrets, that the magic of the hill folk and druids come forth at his easy command. They say he slew hundreds, do you hear? That the world burned and trembled at his wrath.
The Merlin died long before you and I were born.
Merlin Emrys has returned to the land of the living.
Vortigern is gone. Rome is gone. The Saxon is here.
Saxon Hengist has assembled the greatest war host ever seen in the Island of the Mighty. And before the summer is through, he means to take the throne. And he will have it. If we are too busy squabbling amongst ourselves to take up arms against him. Here is your hope. A king will arise to hold all Britain in his hand. A high king who will be the wonder of the world.
You. To a future of peace.
There'll be no peace in these lands till we are all dust.
Men of the island of the mighty, you stand together. You stand as Britons. You stand as one.
Great darkness is falling upon this land. These brothers are our only hope to stand against it.
Not our only hope.
They say Merlin slew 70 men with his own hands. At Cathay, he slew 500.
No man is capable of such a thing.
No mortal man.